So today I was met with an overwhelming urge to make some brownies, and my logical next thoughts were, why not make them while filming myself and reflecting on my time in Australia, obviously. So I'm gonna make some chocolate orange brownies because, well, I don't think I really need to justify that, to be honest. It's been 8 months since I've been here. Oh my god. A lot of you have been sending questions about how I'm finding it here, whether I'm coming back, what I'm doing here, how long I'll be here for, and just stop asking questions that even I don't know the answer to, okay? I feel very personally attacked, but I understand everyone is intrigued. I'm doing a kind of video that I actually hate doing, and that is one without a script. Actually, the total lack of structure is making me a bit anxious, so maybe I'm just gonna write down a few things that I want to address, and then we'll leave it at that. Okay, we're in business. Also need to look up the recipe for the brownies. So I'm using a Food Medic recipe at the Food Medic on Instagram. We've got chocolate orange brownies, fudgy, citrusy, chocolatey deliciousness. What more could you ask for from a chocolate orange brownie? Nothing. There is nothing more I could possibly ask that brownie to be. Let's get the ingredients. Just threw risotto rice everywhere. For what? Why do bad things happen to good people? Ugh. Okay, I've decided this is a later problem, not a now problem. I will just cook amongst a sea of risotto rice, which thankfully you can't see, so let's carry on like nothing happened. Alright, I think that's everything. Let's start. Preheat the oven to 180 degrees. In one bowl, combine the butter, chocolate, vanilla, orange juice. Okay, there's a lot going on here. I don't really know how I'm going to talk and bake at the same time, but I trust in myself. Okay, so while the butter is melting, what have I got here first? Intro. Alright, well I guess the intro's done. Second is life, subheading vibes. Okay, it's been really lovely living in Australia. Queensland in particular has absolutely blown me away. I think, broadly speaking, my overall quality and attitude towards life has been a lot better for two main reasons. Firstly is the weather, which it just seems really like meh when you just say it, like, oh yeah, it's sunnier, yay, but I think, especially a lot of people in England might relate, the weather really does affect your mood, which I always experienced in England. I always found a little bit of my energy, a bit of my kind of just baseline excitement for life would always be a little bit muted according to the weather. I'm very much a kind of warm, hot country kind of person, which is bizarre given that I've grown up. Alright, I'm coming! My god. I cannot stand the cold, which is bizarre given that I've grown up so close to the north of the world. I never got used to it. I hated it. I hated the winter coats. I hated all the layering, the de-icing in the morning. I was never one of those, oh, can't wait to get cozy in the winter kind of girls. I absolutely want to feel hot at all times. I'm just checking because chocolate just melts and then just burns. Yeah, the weather has made a huge difference. I obviously just feel a lot more happier, but I feel as a state, I really didn't think through the logistics of reflecting and baking at the same time, but now it's too late, so we're just gonna crack on. Yeah, so I found, obviously for me personally, the weather makes a big difference, makes me feel a lot happier, etc, but just the whole attitude of everyone around you, the whole kind of way that the whole state embraces the outdoors, embraces nature, it has been so nice to live amongst. There is so much set up here for outdoor living, all the activities you can do, like diving and hiking, jumping in waterfalls, going in the sea, floating down creeks, which is amazing. I've never spent so much time outdoors. The weather has made a big difference. And I'd say the second is the increase in disposable income, which will make me touch on a very asked question regarding the cost of living here. I've obviously done quite a few videos on paychecks and earnings and things, but everyone wants to know about that in the context of the cost of living, which is totally fair and something I didn't really touch on in those videos. Cost of living for me and that is specifically me coming from London to Brisbane. All the cost of living have pretty much gone down. Now, if you're coming from a cheaper city than London, which is pretty much everywhere else in England, or if you're coming into a more expensive city in Australia, like Sydney or Melbourne, then perhaps you won't be experiencing this. But for me, coming from London to Brisbane, it's been categorically a reduction in my cost of living. Now, that is like for like. If we're talking in actual numbers, when I was working in my F1 and F2 year, I was living at home. I wasn't paying very much towards cost of living, and because of lockdown, I wasn't even going anywhere or doing anything really, so all I was paying for was petrol and car parking. So actually I probably had a lot more savings then, but here I'm obviously paying for rent and bills and things which I wasn't, so I am spending more money. But if I compare like for like, if I was earning a junior doctor salary in England, specifically London, and living there, socialising there and doing holidays and things, that gap between spending and earnings would be very, very small. I would probably be basically spending my entire paycheck for living the same sort of life here. I'm just gonna pop that in for another minute, maybe 30 seconds. Okay, I'm just gonna pour the melted butter into the melted chocolate. Whee! Nutritious. It's actually so upsetting when you see a deconstructed cake or brownie or whatever and you just realize what goes into it. But it's absolutely worth it. I'm putting in vanilla extract and orange juice and orange zest and milk. Cool. Got this oranges, but I don't know how to get the juice out. I don't have one of those fancy juicy boys. So maybe if I just squeeze it, like I've just made a hole on one end, I'm just squeezing it. Seems to be working. Let's squeeze and talk. Yeah, so general cost of living has gone down and I feel like my money is going further here. So the quality of the flat, the quality of the holidays, things that you can do out here is pretty good. One of the things that is definitely more expensive are groceries, to the extent that eating out actually feels a lot more value for money and even more affordable. So definitely been eating out a lot more out here, unlike in London I would not be able to eat out this much and still be able to afford other things. So that's all been good. Essentially this has been like the best move I've ever done. It's the best decision I've ever made. I'm living a life that I never ever thought I'd be able to live. Basically life here looks something like you work, and then you literally get a taxi from the hospital to the airport and you're off on a kind of 3-4 day holiday, then you're landing, going straight to work, and then repeat and repeat and repeat. I should stop waving this around. No matter what I do next, I will always desperately miss this time of my life. In fact, I keep getting sad that it's happening because that means time is going and it's about to be over, so I'm already upset that it's almost over. I don't know if that makes sense or if I sound absolutely crazy, but it's something that really stresses me out, is the fact that time is passing. So if anyone's thinking about coming here in terms of a career move from the UK or from anywhere, then I can't recommend it enough. It is a stunning place of the world to live, an incredible place to explore. I just don't want it to be over. This is a laborious recipe, honestly. Next on my list is work. Yes, I probably should touch on the whole reason I supposedly came out here. A little bit of a brief background. I'm working in a tertiary hospital in Brisbane, which is pretty much in the city centre. Work has been good. I've really liked how flexible they've been in terms of the rotations that you want to do when you get out here. So I've mainly asked for surgical and ED jobs, which is what I've done so far, and all my other friends who've wanted various jobs included have mostly had their requests met. So I've done vascular surgery, a day surgery job, and I've just finished my ED rotation. Work life has been good. I have to say, when I first came here, I was shook at how intense the Australian doctors were. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It was just something that really I wasn't expecting. To be honest, I don't know what I was expecting. For some reason, I thought everyone was going to be surfing after work and in between shifts or something. I don't know. Essentially, everyone's very hardworking, as they should be, but for some reason that kind of threw me. In surgery specifically, which is what I've got the most experience in here, the surgical application process is still kind of very much based on who you know, and how much you've impressed people and how likely they are to put a good word in for you. So I was very, very shook when I got here and had to do really early mornings and finish late because everyone else was doing it, so I felt like I had to do it, and I didn't really have a great time when I got here. Luckily, managed to stick with it and move on to slightly more relaxed jobs. The working vibe is generally really, really nice. I've been so taken aback by how lovely all the seniors are, the registrars, the consultants. It's really friendly. One really weird difference is that you call the consultants by their first name here, which I don't think I would ever do or ever did in England. It was always Dr. so-and-so or Mr. or Miss so-and-so in surgery especially, but here even the surgical consultants, they within seconds will ask you to call them by their first name. It creates a really nice tone in the team. Okay, so I think we just add the orange juice. Woohoo! And then we need the zest of the oranges as well and some vanilla extract. So vanilla extract is easy. Nope. That'll do. Zest of orange, I do not know. I don't think I've ever zested an orange. So I'm guessing this will yield some zest. Ooh, God, that's quite hard. I feel like I'm doing a lot, but nothing's happening. It's kind of all just getting stuck in the grater. It's a very, very specialized hospital. There are teams for everything. Obviously that's very specific to my hospital. It's not an Australia thing. It's actually been really handy in ED to have so many teams at your disposal because you're not calling other hospitals or doing weird online referrals that are really clunky. You can just pick up the phone and call pretty much any team at any time. So that's been really nice actually for ED. Really good for learning as well. Man, none of the zest is going in the mixture. It's just all on the grater. What do I do? Flick it off. Nope. Ooh, okay, it's kind of coming off with the fork prongs. Can someone please comment on how one is to zest an orange? Am I just doing it really stupidly and everyone else can do this? I don't know. Let me know. So if you watch my payslip video, you know that the working week is slightly less hours here compared to the NHS. So it's 38 hours a week is a full-time job, unlike the NHS where it's 48 hours. It has felt really nice and I definitely feel like I'm working less, but again, given the reasons I came here were predominantly to travel and enjoy life. It's just been annoying to have work shifts getting in the way, and it's the usual, you know, palaver that you have in the NHS, or I guess in most industries, where you're battling with the rota coordinator, trying to do complicated four-way swaps to try and get enough days off to, you know, go somewhere. They're very, very strict with leave in my hospital. Unlike the NHS, where the annual leave is, you get 9 days off every 4 months, and you can take them literally whenever you want, as long as the wards or your job is staffed. But you can kind of get good time off throughout the 4 months if you're smart and if you prepare early. But here, it's pretty much just an option of having 5 weeks off in one block for the whole year. So you basically work the whole time apart from one 5-week concentrated block. And it's not even any 5 weeks that you want. There are pre-assigned blocks that you have to tick and preference, and you'll get one of those blocks off. So that's been really, really annoying, especially given the reasons I've come out here. It's really not that big a problem. Like, I'm honestly just whining for nothing because I've had a great time, but it's probably the thing I've liked the absolute least about working here. But that's not the case for all the hospitals in Australia by any means, not even all the hospitals in Brisbane. It's all very different. I didn't know or didn't register this part about this job that I'm doing until I got here, so it was a bit annoying, but you live and you learn. I've got big orange bits in here that I don't think were meant to make it in here. Okay, 200 mils of milk. Just thought I should maybe compare a few things that I've perhaps complained about or had issues with the NHS to see if the grass really is greener. So a few things that come to mind. Parking. I'm not driving here, thank God, because petrol prices seem to have gone crazy since I last was regularly driving in the UK. So I just get the bus, but the people who do drive are paying a fair bit for parking in my hospital, as far as I know. I think it's pretty similar in most other hospitals here. On-call facilities in terms of restrooms and food and drink. I'd say food and drink is pretty similar, that out of hours there's not really much choice apart from gourmet vending machine meals. There are rest spaces from what I've seen, kind of official, unofficial. I have seen in our common room that there are some kind of sleep pods in a room at the back. I've not actually done any night shifts in the main hospital yet. I will be from next week, but I've seen those in passing, which look nice. And on the jobs where I have done nights on ED, there's no time to sleep at all because you're constantly seeing patients. But on the other surgical ward job I did, which was in a different hospital next to my hospital, there was like a pretty decent doctor's office, which was kind of tucked away from the wards. It had a nice sofa and things, so when there was a bit of downtime in the kind of middle of the night, I did sleep on there. General attitudes between different teams, bit controversial, but I did mention this in one of my videos about this whole culture of infantilizing and talking down to you that I've seen happen a lot in the NHS. In Australia, in Brisbane, I think it's been a lot more cohesive. The teamwork feels a lot more like you're all equals, everyone's talking reasonably to each other. There are still, of course, the fights between specialities and fights when people don't want to accept people and refer people. Generally, it's been quite good. Fundamentally, everyone is just a lot more relaxed here. I think a huge reason is, again, the weather and the time everyone spends outdoors when they're not at work. I think it's a much nicer atmosphere. So yeah, that's kind of a quick comparison between a few non-money related things to do with work. Next thing on here is in a separate bowl. Man, this is the worst thing about baking, is how much washing up you have to do. So in another bowl, combine the flour, baking powder, cacao powder, and sugar. Okay, that I can do. Okay, next on my list is coming back. I have addressed this in my Q&A, which I have put on my channel now, if you want to go watch that. And I'd say at the time of filming that Q&A, I was very much completely on the not sure part of the barometer, but I'll probably say I'm swinging a little bit more now towards going back home, going back to the UK for further training, for surgical training probably. That's for a few reasons. Of course, first and foremost is family, friends, they're all still back home, life is carrying on there. As good as life has been here, it's still really sad to miss out on the things with people that you've grown up with, as nice as new friends and meeting new people is. Secondly, on a more kind of professional note, career-wise, it just seems a lot more attainable to get onto a surgical training job in the UK and actually progress with my career. In Australia, the norm is very much to do several non-training years, especially in surgery, as a PHO, so a Principal House Officer, which is a non-training registrar level. And people get through 3, 4, 5, even 6 years of being a non-training registrar before they finally get accepted onto an official training program, if at all. That's for a number of reasons. I think there is a lot more competition in terms of people applying versus jobs available. And a big part of getting a job here is getting your references from consultants, from what I understand. And you need a lot of references. I think it's 5 or 6, and you need to score very highly in all of those. And therefore you need to know 5 or 6 surgical consultants pretty well. You need to be working with them regularly, and they need to know, you know, a lot about you, your surgical skills, etc. So that kind of grafting, that takes time. And it's difficult to maintain that kind of relationship and build that rapport with so many consultants. And even more difficult, I think, when you're coming from the outside to try and integrate into that system. Definitely think it's possible, but it would be a lot of work. I think for someone like me who wants to take things pretty slowly already, possibly drop down to part-time quite soon, surgical training is going to be really long already. I have to say the standard and the quality of training here seems excellent. All the surgical trainees generally seem pretty happy. They're getting a lot of hands-on time, a lot of theatre time. I think it's balanced a lot better here between service provision and teaching and learning. Generally across the board, actually, I'll probably say as a big generalisation that is the case. But yeah, it just seems like a very, very long and painful road to get onto surgery here. But of course, anything can change. Don't hold me to it. All right, we're actually almost done. So I've got all the dry ingredients in one bowl, got all the wet ingredients, the orange and butter and chocolate in that bowl, and we're just going to combine them. Another reflection I'm just thinking about as I'm lovingly folding my ingredients together, the kind of attitude from living here that I've developed that I really, really want to take back home if and when I go back to the UK. All my free time has revolved around trying to travel, trying to go and see new places and just get outdoors and do stuff. and that's such a nice mentality to have and such a luxury to be able to live like that while I've been out here. There's so many beautiful places in England, and of course we've got the whole of Europe on our doorstep as well. I want to block time out to go travel, go and see different parts of England, go and do weekend breaks away in Europe, and just get outdoors, get hiking. I want to do more diving. There's so many amazing diving places in Europe that I would never have thought to go to. And yeah, I just want to be a bit more open-minded to inject more adventure into just day-to-day life rather than waiting for a special occasion or a big holiday. I just want to do it alongside everything else. I just realised that I own a zester, which is literally designed to zest, and I was faffing around with that massive cheese grater earlier. I think this could do with a bit more orange zest, so I'm going to add that now. Oh, that's so much easier. Man, why did I forget about this? Alright, last but not least are these chocolate chips. I actually found some vegan milk chocolate chips by Panna. I think that's how you say it. Let me show you. I love doing that. I feel so cool every time. Ooh, those in. That smells so good. That's good stuff. So I'm just gonna clean all of this up now, including the risotto rice that I am still standing in, and I will see you at the end with hopefully some brownies in hand.
A few moments later.
So good news, the brownies are done. Bad news, the brownies are done. I think it's the oven's fault.
Like, I prefer mine medium rare, but I'll take this.
So
Actually, tastes quite nice. The burnt bit is actually perfectly crispy. I really like it.
you better not be raising my hopes.
No, seriously, it's actually not bad.
Look at the chocolate chips in there.
What do you think? Actually, not half bad.
I don't like the burnt bit, but the
If I'm being honest with you,
10% underneath all of that is good.
if I-
Okay, anyway.
I've lived it my whole life.
Can I do my outro, please? So that's everything. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more about my time in Australia, make sure to check out some other videos on my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. And what more? What? Let's try that again.